Good day everyone. So yeah, no C6 R5 5-star units, only 4-star characters with 4-star weapons that you can get as an F2P, so no battle pass or whatever weapons. All of us should be F2P achievable. So what's the goal of today? Well, basically I want to sort of showcase to you how reaction sort of teams sort of work, and then we'll be running for my sins the trio, Bennett, Xiangling and Xingshu with a bit of Chongyun on the other half. Now, of course, the reaction-based teams that you can see here, this is not like a full Sukokomon. This is a very budget version of it. Certainly not as comfortable as if you had Kokomi in it, and of course we've got Xinyan instead of Xiangling. But look at what Xinyan does. The amount of pyro we applied, together with all of the other reactions, just literally shredded all of those cryo shields and so on, and now we can sort of take out the enemies. Yeah, the reaction-based comps are fantastic in an AoE when you've got lots of enemies. They're not so good against single targets, and as you guys will see, or won't see, it's not as good against like enemies like the cryo hypostasis, which is like permanently infused with cryo, because it just messes up all your reactions. It just, that cryo aura just eats up everything. So what we're going to do is we'll play this team on the first chamber and on the third chamber, and then we'll swap teams for the second chamber afterwards, and on all of these sort of chambers we will still get 3 stars, so overall we'll get the 9 stars. So here is now the second half of chamber 1. We're just doing the pretty much the standard stuff. It's a shame the enemy sort of split here because, well, we lost out a bit of damage, but it's no worry. We're just going to sort of finish the enemies off, wait for our abilities to sort of come back. It's very good to keep Bennett here on the field so that you can start battering again that energy-hungry Xiangling. Of course, builds are at the end and so on. Yeah, basically we're just sort of now going to sort of keep the loop, and I want you to pay attention to something here. So even though I casted Bennett's Elemental Burst, I did not cast Xiangling, and in fact I don't need to cast it. I can cast Xiangling's Elemental Burst at the very end of Bennett's sort of elemental burst. The moment his elemental burst expires, I can cast her, and I Xiangling's burst, and I still get like the full benefit. This is my problem with Xiangling as a character. This is too good for a 4-star character. It is bad design, and this is why I hate characters like Xiangling. She should lose the buff the moment Bennett expires, even if she snapshots it for the duration that his buff is on the field. But nonetheless, that is not how she was designed, so it's kind of what it is. But in any case, my complaints aside, the strategy for tackling this flaw is kind of simple. You just want to sort of very evenly try and reduce the enemy's health and so on, take them out at the same time, and there you go. It is pretty easy to do, so you can do it even faster if you've got better artifacts, but it's whatever. So now on to the third flaw. This is where reaction-based team comps like these are just like so fun. So I'm going to bully the enemies, try and group them up. That's a very big thing. Interrupt the enemies, try and taser them a bit more, and now we're just going to sort of try and hit them around. It's unfortunate we couldn't sweep the Mirror Maiden like off of her feet. If we'd been able to do that, we would have been able to do a bit more damage, but it's okay. We get frozen, not a big problem. We can just sort of start running in circles. We do exactly what we did in the beginning, a bit of Fischl, a bit of Barbara. We just go ham. As you can see, it's not too bad. This is not the cleanest run that I've had. I've actually had a run where I took out both Fatuis. Unfortunately, the Mirror Maiden had a lot more health than now, so the time that you see here on screen is certainly one of the better runs that I've had at this. But yeah, pretty easy. It's not too difficult. Just keep on interrupting them, and it is easy. It really is easy. Even with units, I don't think a lot of people would not have expected that an Elemental Mastery build Xinyan would be able to do as well as she did. And of course, yeah, we're now just going to do what the national team sort of does best. Unfortunately, when I ran this, and by the way, I did not give my full attention whilst playing this. Ordinarily, when I play these Pyro Abyss non-seriously or casually like this, I just put like my headphones on, listen to a bit of YouTube, to a bit of an Asmongold video, listen to what some Genshin videos in the background. So yeah, the gameplay, far from optimal. Do I care? No, because I got my 3 stars, and that is all that matters. with 4-star characters, with 4-star weapons, and with an enemy that literally is very, very unfun to play, we can still beat the Spiral Abyss comfortably. And by the way, I did do this run like a couple of times, 2 or 3 times. The reason I had to like initially redo it was because I forgot to take off Skyward Spine on Xinyan. And of course that meant, well, it's not 4-star characters, 4-star weapons anymore, but that was okay. In that run, I was actually lucky enough to paralyze this Ruined Serpent and then sort of take him out. Unfortunately, in this run, I could not paralyze him, so it was just a bit of unluckiness. Well, it doesn't really matter, but it does kind of take a bit of time on the clock. It is what it is. By the way, I've seen people on the internet clear this with a C0 clean and a C5 Yanfei. If you do watch those videos, do keep in mind that the guys that have done that clear did get the sort of 20% extra like attack buff, so they permanently had like a sort of 60% attack buff, and also with the charge attacks there was true damage. So those sorts of runs on the internet, whilst I really respect them and they're kind of cool, aren't really consistent. They're more like gimmicky. But yeah, I must say props to the people that did it without taking damage, which is kind of cool. It just shows you how really far you can take all of these characters. So, floor 12, the second chamber, this is pretty much what I do. I just exit the Spiral Abyss, come back, swap teams, and then try and get my 3 stars on floor 12, and on the, floor 12 second half, sorry, it's been like a really long day, and that's is sort of it. That's how you sort of beat the Spiral Abyss. So, yeah, we obviously can't use the other team on this half, but Xiangling Bennett works kind of really nicely. Unfortunately, we just didn't get him, but now we're going to sort of take... Yeah, you see, like, a mistake there. I should have saved Guoba, put Guoba here. He would have broken through the shield faster, but it doesn't matter. Bennett keeps applying a bit of, like, pyro and so on, so it's kind of okay. There we go, little Guoba. Hit them, and now we can just sort of waste our abilities because we are pretty much done. It is a valid strategy to go through the Spiral Abyss like this, to swap teams, to do 1 floor at a time and get your 3 stars, because at the end of the day, there's nothing that says that you must do it otherwise. So doing it like this is perfectly fine. It's a perfectly legitimate, viable strategy, and one that, especially if your account is under-leveled in terms of builds and so on, like mine is at the moment here, you can then use it to get all the primo gems. There's nothing much more to say. This is just going to be a bit of torture because we have to take out the enemies. Like I said, if they're not grouped up, we do lose out on the bit of like taser and sort of all the good stuff. So the single target focus, not so strong on reaction based teams, but it is sort of what it is. You can see, look at all those like electrocharge. You see now how sort of like taser works. You've got all these small little numbers, 4,000, 5,000, 4,000, and all of them add up quickly in like like rapid succession. And this is kind of the real power and strength of it. Like people would see a character do like a 50 or a 60k charge attack or like an elemental skill and think, oh wow, it's so big. But if you add up all the damage you get from these reaction based team comps, they add up like so quickly, and your effective damage is like really high, but you've got to manage it really well, and that's kind of the key thing here. And also now you can see why Kokomi is so much more valuable than Barbara, because I would have had constant hydro for the enemies and so on, and I would have even had now a strong like on-field character to do a bit more like single target damage. With Barbara we can only do Ocean Youth Clam set, which unfortunately suffers against the Ruin Guards. But yeah, I mean, it's really wasn't the most difficult thing to do. The amount of tries it took to do this was about 1, but I did play all of these teams a couple of times and so on. I did do these things a couple of times just to make sure the RNG and stuff is kind of like fair. Such that my representation is going to be like one super lucky run and so on. But it's something that you would reasonably be able to do consistently. Yeah, that's sort of what I wanted to say. Alright, yeah, the builds, they're kind of average, they're kind of nothing special, none of the talents or anything special, nothing, the weapons aren't even all leveled up, but it does show you with a bit of game knowledge, you can definitely sort of beat the quote-unquote hardest content in the game. And of course, there are different and other 4-star teams and varieties of teams that you can also do this with. There are plenty of YouTubers that will happily sort of showcase it to you. But that is sort of it from my side. Thank you guys for sticking around, listening to me blabber on. I'm kind of exhausted. I can't wait for Sumru tomorrow. Genshin Impact's been really stale, so we are definitely scraping the bottom of the content barrel, but that's sort of it. And yeah, who would have thought that you can use Xinyan in the way you can here? All you need is EM and a bit of Pyro. But yeah, I'll keep quiet, let the builds play out. Thanks for watching. Cheers.